In the last video presentation, we discussed the importance of evidence and introduced the steps in the process of developing a results chain. In this presentation, we're going to begin the process of developing a results chain by defining the program purpose. If you'd like to follow along in Biodiversity How-To Guide 2, this presentation covers pages 10 through 12. This first step is to define the end result of the program being designed, which in USAID is called the program purpose. In this context, program is used as a general term that may refer to a USAID project or activity. In the USAID program cycle, country development cooperation strategies consist of projects, which themselves consist of activities. It is usually those activities that are contracted out to implementing partners. Depending on whether your task at hand is designing a USAID project or an activity, and how your USAID mission organizes your CDCS project's activity structure, there is more than one option as to how the actual purpose of your biodiversity program, or any program for that matter, is linked to a component of your situation model or logic model. Whatever the arrangement used, the basic concept is that the purpose of an activity must contribute to a result in the theory of change of a project, and the purpose of a project must contribute to the theory of change of the development objectives of the CDCS. In other words, each purpose must link back up to the program cycle level above it. For a more detailed explanation on this, see the video below called A Place for a Purpose, with Marco Flores from the Office of Forestry and Biodiversity. In the recurring example used in the Biodiversity How-To Guides and in these modules, the program is a USAID project in which its purpose is a result at the level of the biodiversity program scope in our situation model. In this example, the purpose statement is about a result that describes a desired improved status of the terrestrial and freshwater ecosystems of the Grand River Basin. But the Grand River Project is just one teaching example. Remember, what is defined as the project or activity purpose is not always at the same location when that purpose is identified within the situation model of the biodiversity program. This will always depend on the context of your strategy and project and on organizational decisions made by the USAID mission or office, not by the methodology. In this module, as in the Biodiversity How-To Guides, we use an example of a biodiversity project with several biodiversity focal interests at a fictitious site called the Grand River Basin. Therefore, the desired change of status of the biodiversity scope is the project purpose, and the desired changes in the status of the biodiversity focal interests are the project's sub-purposes. To explain how to write a well-developed purpose statement, or in our example, a sub-purpose statement, we'll focus on the river fish population's biodiversity focal interest, and we'll explore how to develop this statement. Though in this example we are defining a sub-purpose statement, the same process applies to developing your activity or project purpose statement. A well-written purpose statement should meet the following criteria. Impact-oriented. It should be directly associated with a change in the status of the purpose. In our example, that means the statement must clearly describe the desired change in the biodiversity focal interest. Time-limited. It should be achievable within a specific period of time. Measurable. It should be defined in relation to some standard scale. This could be numbers, percentage, fractions, or all-nothing states. Specific. It should be clearly defined so that all stakeholders involved in the program have the same understanding of what the terms of the statement mean. Writing a good purpose statement can be quite simple, especially if you accept the fact that you are unlikely to get it right with the first attempt. Instead, work on creating a draft that you can refine. First, you should confirm what the subject is for the purpose statement. In our recurring example, it's a biodiversity focal interest, called river fish populations. Next, you can write a simple draft of what you want to achieve. Remember, don't try to make it perfect. In this example, the first draft might be healthy river fish populations. Next, you should apply the criteria. Is it impact-oriented? Yes. Ensuring river fish populations are healthy is an impact. Is it specific? No. We don't know what is meant by healthy. We don't know which populations or what geographic area we are talking about. Is it time limited? No, there is no date or time frame in this statement. Is it measurable? No, not as currently worded. In particular, we don't know how to measure what healthy is. A second draft might read, riverfish populations preserved across the freshwater ecosystems of the Grand River watershed. This is starting to get more specific. It clarifies that the program is interested in fish residing in freshwater ecosystems of the Grand River watershed. But it could be more specific, and it still needs to be time-limited and measurable. A third draft might read, by 2025, more than 80% of the sub-watersheds of the Grand River have self-sustaining populations of key native riverfish. Notice the asterisk on this statement. The team mentions that they have a list of identified priority native riverfish by sub-watershed. Using asterisks can be a useful way of keeping your statement easier to follow and referring people to supporting information. Let's go through the criteria again. This draft is still impact-oriented. It focuses on achieving self-sustaining populations of riverfish. Is it time-limited? Yes. It now says by 2025. Is it specific? Yes, it says sub-watersheds and key native riverfish. The asterisk at the end of the statement indicates they have additional information which would make this statement even more specific. Is it measurable? Yes, you can count sub-watersheds and verify if they have self-sustaining populations. The team will need to be clear about what constitutes self-sustaining, as this will be something else the team or one of their partners will need to measure. Again, this further clarification is important, but it can be done as a follow-up to the process of defining the original purpose statement. The team could even put an asterisk after self-sustaining to indicate they had a process for defining self-sustaining. So, Draft 3 is a well-defined statement that meets all the criteria. Okay, that's all for Step 1. To review, in this presentation we discussed how to define a well-written purpose statement and demonstrated how the Grand River team refined their statement. In the next section, we will dive deeper into the process of developing a results chain. The next presentation will look at separating relevant components from a situation model as a starting point for a results chain.